We'd like to thank our family.
Down to Dumas Walker, let's go!
Kentucky Headhunters.
Let's all go!
Kentucky Headhunters kind of feel this is a God-driven project, and we want to thank our drivers. All right, taking on Nashville, the Kentucky Headhunters. Good that we don't forget that sort of thing, and we just want to thank everybody for giving us a chance, a license to be ourselves.
It's a license to be ourselves.
I was recently able to have a long sit-down interview with Doug Phelps, the Kentucky Headhunters vocalist and bass player, about the band's past, present, and future, and their outlaw presence in Nashville. A license to be ourselves. The Kentucky Headhunters legacy. All right, guys, I'm sitting here with the legend, the basketball playing, Grammy Award winning Mr. Doug Phelps from the Kentucky Headhunters. He is an absolute legend in the Nashville scene. Hits such as Dumas Walker. They had 23 albums. I did some homework.
Well, I know we've got
23 singles.
Yeah, 23 singles. I think 17 albums at this point. Yeah,
17 albums. So they have been all over Nashville for years and years and years, and they're going to be here for years to come. And I just wanted to sit down. I got the opportunity to sit down with him and to talk to him and to go back and get some stories on his journey and his legendary music success and what he's done in with music. Here we're gonna talk about all the things that has happened with the Headhunters in the past and Mr. Doug himself and how it all began from the start. I'm actually good friends with Josh, Mr. Josh, and that's not his government name. No, I'm just kidding. But he's one of my good buddies and from years and years ago, and we were hanging out one summer, and I walked into, he invited me over to play poker. He don't do that anymore. He goes to church now. No, I'm just kidding. But we played poker in his garage, and I saw all these gold records and these awards and stuff on the wall, and I was like, who's your dad? He played for a local band in Hendersonville? No, but I was like, who's your dad? And so we got to talking, and we became friends, and Josh actually invited me 2014, 2015 to Cornerstone for a men's group, for like a book group. Like we would read books and stuff like that. And I was like, I mean, I don't like a big book reader, but I'm not a big book reader, but I went and I was like, man, this is pretty awesome. Yeah. And so we became friends from there. We hung out around 2015 a lot and stuff too. We played some music together also. Yeah. For, what was that girl's name? One of his friends, really, really nice girl.
Yes.
She was talented too.
I know who you're talking about.
Good songwriter. Brown hair, dark hair. I can't remember. Starts with I want to say her name starts with A, but I'll put it in. I'll put it on the thing. Sorry, I'll give you a shout out, lady that we played music with, me and Josh. But yeah, so me and Josh's friendship, me and Doug's son's friendship has it's been there over the years, and he's just a great guy. All right, Mr. Phelps. Usually, I ask a couple of funny questions, just icebreaker questions, just off the rip. So, I'm a huge fan of the documentary "Wonderful Wild Whites of West Virginia." Is it true that you had to get bailed out of jail while filming the music video for the song "Jesco"? That's a rumor that's going around.
No, we didn't have to do that.
Just kidding.
I don't know if you've ever seen the original documentary,
Dancing Outlaw.
Have you seen that as well?
I haven't seen it. I've heard about it.
You've got to see that one as well, because that really sets up the whole thing.
Really
does, and that's kind of what started the whole Jessica phenomenon, if you will.
Right.
We saw it, and it was passing around from bus to bus, everybody checking it out. And they got to bringing him into Nashville, and I don't know if they were doing it to make sport of him or what, but we kind of started getting that feeling about it.
Yeah.
And so we wrote a song, Jessica. We wrote a song about Jessica, kind of an ode to Jessica, and was going to. The label had contacted him, was going to put him in the video with us.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And he was going to dance and everything, but and at first he was all about it. The next day, one of his brothers called and said, I'm Jessica's representative, and it's going to be such amount of money, and it all turned into a crazy thing. Well, he's going to get paid, and I think what it was is if he got paid, then it might have messed up their check or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know all the exact details, but
in the documentary they talk.
Yeah. So anyway, we didn't get the chance to. Man, it was a bummer because we wanted him to be in the video, and it was going to be it was going to be a whole thing, but it didn't work out. But no, we wrote the song really kind of as an ode to Jessica.
Right.
We kind of felt like he's being made sport of.
He's a little rough, but he's a good old boy.
Oh man,
he seems like just a good old country.
They would come out to shows and see us. They would come out to shows and see. We've had him on stage time or two with us, and all the youngins and all of them, But we haven't seen him lately. It's been a pretty good while. But,
sure.
Anyway, that was an interesting period for us for sure.
I just my buddy showed me that documentary back in the day. For some reason, I don't know what I just love Appalachia stuff.
Yeah.
Around that area, and I remember, I never forgot the documentary, and I was watching, and friends with Josh over the years, and then I saw in the part of the documentary where they put y'all's song,
and they all singing and
they all in the bar, and I was like, that's so freaking cool, man.
Yeah.
And did you know that they were going to do another documentary? You guys made that song before.
Yeah, we wrote it before all that
Yeah.
happened, and so they ended up putting it in it, and we ended up using it for that particular one. So
did they contact? Cool. Did they know that you were going to do a documentary?
Yeah, they let us know.
That's cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah, there's something to that fella, man. He's just entertaining his craft, and that's just something really cool that I wanted to ask, and of course they didn't go to jail, guys. I don't think. I mean, that's
it'd have been cool. It'd have been a cool story, but it didn't happen.
Had to make something up. So, okay, here's another one. Here's one more funny question, then we'll just talk about some normal stuff. So, when I was a kid, and I know you probably get this, or you probably heard this, and I'm sorry if it annoys you. Please don't throw me out. Don't end the interview. When I was a kid, for some reason, every time Dumas Walker came on the radio, and I mean, I'm talking about, it's 92, so I was probably, or when did that song come out?
It would have been out in 90. It would have come out in 90.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, they were playing it for years.
Oh, yeah.
And so I remember, probably 5, 6, 7 years old, I remember this image of everybody hanging out at Miss Walker's house, Dumas Walker. And I was like, I finally understood that somebody told me, no, it's Dumas Walker, the name Dumas Walker.
Yes.
And so, I was a kid. And so, if you have any funny stories about anybody talk or asking you about that part of the song, because some people, they misconstrue it as,
let's all go down and do Miss Walker.
Do Miss Walker. Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't want to go there with it. But
no, hey, of course we had radio stations that would refuse to play the song because that's what they thought we were saying.
Oh my goodness!
And we're going, no, the guy's name is Dumas Walker. You can look him up. He's a famous marble player. And,
So he was in the video. The guy.
Yeah, he was the guy in the very beginning shooting marbles on the pool table. It was Dumas Walker.
That's
and,
so cool.
and he passed away just a year or two after that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But
I'm sure he loved that.
It got, well, as he says, I made them boys famous. And you know what? I guess him and Bill Monroe, I got my brother's drawing a bill up there. You may have to capture that, man, because My brother discovered he's a painter about 10 years ago, and he's painted some incredible stuff.
Oh,
but anyway,
Ricky.
yeah, Ricky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is incredible.
you know,
That's amazing.
that was his first one ever. It was just crazy, but maybe talk about that in a little bit. But you know, "Walk Softly" was our first single, and it was a Bill Monroe and Jake Landers tune,
Right.
but basically a Bill Monroe tune. So Bill made us helped to make us famous too. I guess
Bill
you
and
could
Dumas.
say Bill and Dumas. You
You
know,
guys didn't have nothing to do with it. No.
Hey, well, you know, it's just it was a regional story, you know, about a regional guy who had made the news because he was so good as a marble player. I think 60 Minutes or somebody did a little thing on him.
Wow.
But anyway, "Walk Softly" came out in the last part of '89, and you know the radio was not. It went to 25.
Yeah.
It went to 25 on the charts.
Which is great.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But it sold over 500,000 records in record time.
Wow.
So it was selling like crazy. But there were stations out there going, who's the long haired guy? You know, it was you know, it was like it was a shock to them, I guess. And there were some stations that just wouldn't play it. Now, they played it. Let's put it this way. They played it after it didn't matter anymore chart-wise.
Right.
So they would. Yeah. So in other words, if they'd have played it like they did afterwards during that particular time, it sold over 500,000 records. It'd have been a number one record. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
50.
Yeah.
That's almost. Well, I mean, it's half platinum, but
yeah, how gold record is 500,000 copies.
Did you guys go platinum on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It went platinum. Dumas took it over platinum. In fact, it's double platinum. Well, I think it's double platinum now. But it's more than that now because the streaming and all the downloads counts as sales now too. So we
still getting straight. Yeah.
We heard it's up to all of stuff together is up to about 11 million records or so. I guess the way they count it. But anyway, we were down to the Polygram or Mercury Records at Polygram, a subsidiary. We were down there quite often between gigs, begging them, hey man, check it out, just play the song, check it out, because it was doing so well at the other stations.
Right.
And the video was number one video. CMT had just come out, and so the video was really helping us too. But when the Dumas came out, it was kind of more stations played it. It went to 15 on the charts. It made it to 15. Wasn't even a top 10 record. Sold us over. Now we went well over 1 million records. So it was just, we knew it was real. We knew something real was happening with it.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of times, I don't mean to butt in, but that almost goes to another question that I have. But I mean, I think a lot of times, when the people speak, and they're like, we don't care, we love it.
Yeah.
Like radio, you can do what you want or whatever, or you can. I mean, I don't want to say anything's corrupt, but I'm a big fan of independent record labels or no record label.
These days.
Right, and so I'm a huge fan of that. One of my good friends is Ryan Upchurch, no record label. Dude gets 400 million spins on Spotify a year. And so when the people speak,
the people like it. They have that avenue now.
Yeah,
avenues. It wasn't really quite that way back then. You almost needed radio to really be the, but we did have that one new avenue called CMT video.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And all the videos were
so they were playing
videos
when radio station wasn't.
Yeah,
okay.
And there people are saying, but now it's like I say, it went to 15, and then the stations, about a dozen stations, powerful stations that decided not to play it until after. And then they played the fire out of it. And the proof in the pudding is the BMI awards here. Mm-hmm. We got.
I'm gonna give shots of this.
Yeah.
Got all this stuff afterwards.
The top 5 most played songs each year gets a recognition of BMI citation of achievement. They say.
Gotcha.
And it was for Dumas Walker. So it was. In fact, one of the people I knew at BMI told me that night we went to the awards, got presented, our plaques, whatever. He said, I'll just fill you in. He said, Dumas was the second most played song of 1990.
Oh my goodness!
And
Wow.
so the dance, Garth Brooks, the dance, was the number one.
That was a huge. Yeah,
it was so, but that was the number one record and was number one for who knows how long. Dumas went to 15, but it was the second most played song. So that tells you a little bit of the politics, I guess, of labels and radio and whatever.
Yeah.
It didn't matter really in the long run because we were selling records.
Sure.
And that's
money.
You can have a number one record and sell 30,000 copies, or you can have a number 15 record and sell 1 million. I'll choose that.
Right, money. That's real money.
I'll choose that every day. Of course, it would have been nice to have everybody come on board and have number one records and all that stuff. That'd have been great, but it wasn't. It didn't happen. And it wasn't really about that. It was about us making the music we wanted to make, and we wrote it. We played it in the studio ourselves. No studio musicians. We produced the records ourselves. It was all self-contained, all very self-contained.
Yeah, you guys were all no. We say you go to Nashville nowadays and before if you get a hit song out on top 40 Nashville radio, at least you're going to have to probably go through 10 people. Hey, let's rewrite this, hire studio, best musicians in the world.
Absolutely,
and that's okay. But
it's a formula and it works, and I ain't got nothing against it at all.
Sure,
but that wasn't that was not how we approached it. We approached it like, well, we're a band, and I thought the Beatles, they played their own stuff, and they played their own stuff. All the bands played their own stuff.
Write their own stuff.
And write their own stuff and pick and choose whatever they want to cover to do their own version of, which that's what we do as well. And so that's how we approached it. So we had 8 songs. We had Picking on Nashville cut.
Right.
Before we weren't, we weren't shopping for a label yet.
So that was like that was like a demo?
Yeah.
Pretty much?
Pretty much. Like a demo.
Because that doesn't happen now.
We went down to the sound shop.
That's awesome.
We had a guy, Jonathan D.W. Lyle, who's he's around the D.C. area. He was in the banking business.
Okay.
Saw me and Greg when we was out with McDowell back in the 80s. But the Headhunters were together. We put the Headhunters together in March of 86. And the 4 of us that are still doing it. We brought my brother in later, but the 4 of us that are still doing it are the 4 founding members of the Headhunters. And he saw us. We'd opened up 2 or 3 songs before Ronnie come out, and we was doing a blues thing or whatever. And he approached us. So I really dug that song you did. And I can't remember which one it was, but so if you like that, you might really like we got a little band on the side here called the Headhunters.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you do? And he said, well, I kind of have a hobby. I like, if I find a band I like and, they're kind of doing their own thing, I'll give them a little money, go in and record, so I can record their stuff. So okay, cool. So he gave us $4,500. And we went to the sound shop because Greg and I had already recorded there numerous times with McDowell. We played on 2 of his label albums.
The lead
guitar player, yeah. And we knew Mike Bradley there very well, so we went in and we had already had all the stuff written, went in 3 days, had Picking on Nashville.
3 days.
And,
Wow.
made 500 copies of tape and, thought, well, okay, yeah, we'll sell them we had the Chitlin show, live radio show in Mumfordville, Kentucky. We had that going on too.
Gotcha.
About once or twice a month, and set up live in the radio station and broadcast and play live and bring in guests. So we thought, well, we sell a few that way, and we'll pitch around a few of our friends in Nashville. We didn't really know anybody at labels, but I knew Kurt Denny at BMI because I'm a BMI writer. Richard was an ASCAP writer.
Gotcha.
And he knew some publishing people there as well.
Rhythm guitar.
Richard. Young. And so we kind of handed the CD out to a few people. Next thing we know, we're getting calls going, you guys, y'all did this? Yeah. Man, y'all need to come down and do a showcase. We're like, well, okay. We worked it out. We ended up doing a showcase at Douglas Corner. In December of '88, I believe it was. Greg and I just barely made it. We got in off the road with McDowell and we did our showcase. CBS was interested. Larry Hamby at CBS was the vice president. He's really the first one who called us and said, I really dig what y'all got going on, and like to, do a showcase, show some people. So we ended up, okay, we did it. We invited some other folks out. And, one person we didn't invite out was Harold Shedd. He was there. He came with some of the publishing friends that Richard knew, and but he was there to see someone else. I forget who it was, but they said, "Oh, you need to stay and see these boys," So we, I probably started off with Honky Tonk Blues and then went into Walks Off or something, and out there, almost everybody scattered at that point because this ain't country. This ain't what is this? Long haired. But Harold stayed, and whatever it was that we did, captured him somehow or another, and he approached my brother at the end of the set, and who are you, and where do you play, and what is this? And he said, "Oh, you didn't get a tape?" "No, I didn't get a tape." "You got a tape?" "Yeah, here." Called us the next day and said, "Y'all did this yourself?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I'm going to sign this band." He said, "We may all be selling hamburgers next year, but I'm going to sign this band."
So one guy.
So the one guy happened to be there.
Everybody else,
we scared him off, I guess. Didn't hear another word from anybody else. And so, like I said, it's just right place, right time. And
that's awesome.
I'll circle it all the way back around to Dumas. When Walks Off, he did what it did, and they're like, "Okay, great, radio, a little struggle at radio, but we're selling records." They said, "We need to do Dumas next." And he said, "Well, I don't know." So Dumas, that's really just more of a regional song, And we said, "No, Harold, everybody's got a Dumas Walker."
Right.
Not be named that, but everybody's got one of those guys somewhere, that they know.
Right, exactly.
We were getting that kind of reaction off of Dumas before we just playing and not even having to deal with anything.
Right.
Before all of that, so we knew there was something there.
You could tell who they were reacting to. People were
it got a reaction when people didn't even know it.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Interesting how it works out.
That nowadays, I mean, there was some good country bands that were like original bands that are put together. I mean, there might be still some out there that came along in the past 15 years. I'm not sure, but it reminds me of that reminds me kind of like Alabama. Like they were a band,
yeah,
and like things like that. But that just, to me, I love that because it keeps things original. It keeps things fresh. It's not just filtered through certain people in Nashville. Certain people are putting out certain things. Hey, this is a new sound. We're going to go with this. Whenever people come off of the, out of the blue and stuff, to me that makes things fresh.
It does,
and I love it.
Well,
a lot of people don't because they don't get to.
Well,
pull the strings.
Yeah,
milk the pockets.
It's like we said earlier. It works. It's formulaic. It works. It works for them, and that's great. Wonderful. Thumbs
sure.
up.
Yeah.
But it's not. I guess as a band that has multiple influences, we don't fit into that formula. We don't fit in with that formula.
It keeps things fresh.
And so for us, we pull it all together, and it comes out in this musical stew, and it makes our sound, makes us who we are, And we're just fortunate that it worked the way it did. It worked. We did it all ourselves, and it worked. And so they couldn't come and say, "Well, now you need to do this, and you need to do, we need to bring in this."
Right.
They couldn't really say it because what we did worked.
500,000 records don't lie.
Yeah.
Platinum. And that's great.
We were fortunate that it worked out like it did.
Sure. And there's other people right now like Upchurch and other people that are independent, and a lot of times back in the day there wasn't really a possibility to get yourself exposure that much.
Yeah.
But nowadays a lot of people are searching. Hey, I want something different. You know what I'm saying? I want something different. I want this. And so I love that music has evolved that way. And it's good for some things, and it's not good for other things. Like some people have to have a producer, like George Strait. Like he needs, to me, like he needs to have a producer and writers and stuff, and that's what brings out the best in some artists. Right. But it's just really neat hearing that avenue before YouTube
you really had that avenue.
That's really cool. I just love talking about. I'm like a business person. I used to trade stocks. and do all that stuff. And I just love numbers, and I love like charts and like. I know it sounds boring and weird, but like business and like looking at something and seeing what it can be and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of people that, like Ryan Upchurch, we booked him in. I did some promotion. I was a promoter for like a few shows or whatever, and I booked him in 2017.
Yeah.
And like he had a lot of followers, but I was like, he'd only been around for like 3 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'd only been around 2 or 3 years, and I was like, who is this kid? You know what I'm saying? He's everywhere. Like I see him everywhere. Every time I flip on YouTube, who is this kid? And we promoted a show with him in 2017, and it went great. You know what I'm saying? We were expecting 400 people to show up. 1,000 people showed up, and it went great. And so I told my buddy, I said, we need to make friends with this guy. Yeah. Like I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like with you guys. Like I don't know what. Like I guess Hamby, Mr. Hamby.
Yeah, Larry Hamby.
I don't know what it is, but he's got it going on. Like this guy will be something one day. And then now fast forward 6 years, and the dude. He owns a 250-acre ranch with a huge house on it in Nashville. So it's like I love being able to see something to me like. No, this is raw. This is real, and this talks to people. I don't know. I just love that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Well, it's like the Oliver Anthony thing, and
I was going to mention that.
And there's some. We've had some opening acts here. Well, let's go back all the way. Blackberry Smoke opened up for us when they were a cover band.
Oh yeah, Blackberry Smoke.
And those guys are really cool and real good. Love what they're doing, and they've made.
Whippoorwill was really good. I really
we just did a thing with the Red Clay Strays. I don't know if you've heard of them yet or not.
Maybe.
Really interesting. Really cool.
I'll check them out.
Band guys look like us, and the lead singer, you'd think he'd come out of Sun Studios in Memphis.
All right, yeah. Old school.
Slick back a little bit, and really, but real. It's real stuff. There's
Red Clay Strays. I might have seen something of theirs.
They've got a bunch of stuff on YouTube right now. You just check them out. They're from I think they're from Georgia or Alabama. Georgia Thunderbolts, which is a band that Richard has produced and is actually managing these days. And
I've heard of them. Yeah,
they're really, if you want to go kind of real 70s Southern rock, that's nice. Really right up their alley. And TJ, the singer's got really Southern soulful singer, man, like Paul Rogers kind of stuff, even to a certain degree. It's really good. They're really good too. And we do they've opened up for us quite a few times as well. We just did a thing in Maryville, Tennessee, with a band called Dirty Gospel, and they're local, basically over there in Maryville, based out of Maryville, and they were really good. And then the next night we played McKaysville, Georgia, and a band called Dirty South played.
Dirty South,
and they're really good. So
shout out to all the bands on
all these bands that are kind of up and coming and doing their own thing. I relate to it.
I do. Absolutely, it's hard out there for an independent artist, and my channel is all about independent artists or just good music in general. Yeah. But that's great. You guys go check that out. What was you going to say about Oliver Anthony?
Well, I just thought about the fact that something that is real, that struck a nerve, struck a chord with people,
and they ran with it.
And I've heard he's been offered $8 million deal and turned it down. He just, he said it's not about that. It was about what I was going through and what I was feeling, and so people, it connected, Now, he's however many views he's getting. Guess what? He's making money off of that, so that's great. He doesn't have to go through all the other hoops and the channels, that the industry, does. So that's great. And
he's definitely one that wouldn't want to do that.
No.
He seems like a really genuine. Just everything about the guy comes off genuine. And we don't know much about him yet, but I agree. And the same thing happened with you guys, like you said, picking on Nashville. Like, not a lot of people wanted, or they didn't want to certify certain things. should have been number 2. Let's just throw out number
Yeah,
second most played song.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of people, they just ran with it because they knew it, they liked it. It was different, and it wasn't just old and just been done before and stuff like that. That kind of reminds me of something like you're talking about, like him. It's kind of like, maybe not like a political movement, but it's like a movement. It's kind of like a movement of makes you music to me. Sometimes when I hear something new, just like the Oliver Anthony thing, man, I think that kid somehow he's some kind of genius and he don't even know it. You know, it just makes you feel alive sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hear something every once in a while, you're like, man, I've never heard that before in my life. Probably won't ever hear it again.
Well, it was just a raw, real emotion, you know, that came across, and who knows where it'll go from there. And if it blows up and becomes some big commercial thing eventually, that's fine too. I don't care. But what happened in that moment, just proves that real and raw and heartfelt, you know, stuff,
right.
instead of not so much here, but a lot here, you know.
That's right.
Can really touch people.
That's right. I believe that, and that's the great thing about music is it translates. It translates in weird ways, you know.
Yeah.
But I saw a bunch of stuff for the kids. Somebody was like, "Start this guy a GoFundMe. He's turning down record deals." I was like, he'll
find his way.
I was like, he's going to make
He's going to
money
be
off
okay.
his spins, you know.
Yeah, oh yes,
Which, you know,
absolutely.
People that got him. I think he said recently Jamie Johnson was mentoring him.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Jamie's old school.
Yeah, he's old school. So we've done some shows with Jamie.
Oh, you met Jamie?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've done some shows with him. It's been a while, but we've done some shows with Jamie.
What's he like? Is
laid back.
Really? Yeah, just
laid back.
Yeah.
I tell you, another one we enjoyed working with was oh gosh, Stained. That's his
Aaron Lewis.
Aaron Lewis, man. Now we only got to do one. We opened up for him one show.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, and but there's somebody who's doing. Yeah, the Stained thing was great. I like that band too. But
Sure.
But what he's doing himself is coming from coming from here and what he's writing and everything. You know? I get it.
That guy, I've been wanting to meet him since I was 9th grade.
Yeah.
I remember maybe 8th grade. It was like 2001, right? And this interview isn't about me, but it's about Sting. It's about Aaron Lewis.
Yeah.
And so, or this part is, so I was in 8th grade and I was, Eminem. I was big into rap,
Mm-hmm.
And Stain came out. And it was like the number one rock. It was like the number one album for like that year or whatever, or however long. It was on top of the charts, and it changed. It kind of trajected me, toward like rock.
Yeah.
And so in high school, I was in like heavier bands, metal bands, and I realized a lot of that came from Stain.
Yeah.
It's been a while,
Absolutely, man.
And so that's really cool that you mentioned him, because I've always wanted to talk about him or meet him or whatever. And what's really cool about it is he came from this rock band. It's almost like a lot of these people did this together because he came from a heavy metal rock band. Now he's into like country kind of conservative stuff, which that's kind of, it's weird because your roots. When I got older, my roots kind of.
Oh yeah.
I started getting in the country too.
Yeah.
It's really neat. I relate a lot to him, but that's cool. So what? So you guys opened for him. When was that?
That was probably 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago? How's he? Is he?
Yeah, he was nice.
Good old fella.
Band was good. Obviously. I think one of the guys plays in both versions, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But the rest of them are different. But no, and it was great. He puts on a great show.
Joker can sing, can he?
He can sing, and he can write, and he can play.
I've always related to him like we were talking about, because he's just real. He says stuff that I don't care.
I don't care what. Yeah, this is what I think, and you can agree with me or not. Doesn't matter.
Well, Mr. Doug, we are having such a good time talking. I am going to ask you another question real quick. Let's pull it back.
All right.
We've had such a wild time talking already. Let's go back to the beginning. When was the first time as a child or young adult or whenever where you heard music or you heard a song and you realized, hey, that's what I would like to do. That's what I want to do. Or did it happen like that? Or do you remember the artist or the album? Or
Well, like before we started all this, my dad's been a preacher all my life, and so there's always music in church.
Yeah.
That was where the foundation was in church, and I played. As soon as I could know how to play, I played in church.
Awesome.
Guitar, acoustic guitar first, and then went to bass when I was 10. But the Phelps side of my family, all the way back to great uncles, even all played. Everybody played. It was just in the genes, man. Everybody played. Everybody wrote, played, and sang. Everybody. No one did it professionally until my Uncle Dub, which is my dad's younger brother.
Gotcha.
And he went out and made his living playing. And a great guitar player, but he was mainly a bass player.
Yeah.
So he gave me my first bass when I was 10. It was a '66 jazz bass, which I still have out in the music room.
Nice. What, Fender? Or?
Yeah,
Oh,
Fender
man.
Jazz, '66 model. And
It's awesome you kept that.
no, yeah, I kept it. And so music was always there. It was just a part. It was a natural part. I started, picking out piano tunes at 5, and plinking around and actually making tunes up. And then Dad had the guitar, so he'd start showing me how to do a G with my little hand, and
Right.
all that stuff. But then from there, I just started listening, and I would figure out, I taught myself how to play basically.
Sure, by ear, yeah, kind of.
What hit me, what really hit me, I was probably 7. I think we just moved into the house across from the baseball park in Cardwell, Missouri, Boonville, Missouri. And my brother's 7 years older than I am, and he had the Beatle records.
Oh, okay.
And the Rolling Stone records and Zeppelin records and all that stuff. But he told me, do not play my albums. You'll scratch them. You're a kid. Do not play my records.
Yeah.
And so, of course, when he wasn't there, I would take our little record player machine. We had 2 little small speakers, and I would lay on that hardwood floor on my back. And I'd put those speakers on each side of my head, and I'd play Beatle records. And I saw 7 or 8. That'd have been, I was born in '60, so I'd have been 67. It was some of the earlier albums, But I just lay there with my eyes closed and listened to those records. And that really is what snapped I went, okay.
I love this.
This is, you get your chill bumps type stuff, so.
Well, I mean, those were some pioneers. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, Zeppelin, Stones, all that stuff, man.
Yeah.
That's really kind of what turned on the switch, if you will. And from there on, I was just sucking in everything I could, absorbing everything I could get a hold of,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it really helped me teach. I learned from that how to, acoustic and bass and piano and whatever.
Just kind of learned it all.
Yeah, just from listening.
Yeah, if you didn't get amazed by those bands, you didn't have a pulse.
Well, yeah, no kidding, man.
But yeah, I love. I think a lot of times music runs in people's genes, genetics, and their blood.
Yeah.
It's because it's almost like one of those things where you don't know. I mean, for years and years, I don't know why. I don't know why I liked it. I don't know why I stayed up till, 3 o'clock in the morning watching MTV. I don't know why. Like every time I went through a breakup, I listened to Daryl Worley. I miss my friend.
Yeah.
I don't know why I needed that. But there's like for me at least, and a lot of people, for you apparently too, is your genetics. It's just you can't explain it, but it's there.
Yeah.
And I found out years later. I don't know if you know this group, but I'm very closely related on my grandmother's side to the McCormick brothers.
Yeah.
And old school,
Yeah.
and they still. I mean, well. As of a few years ago, they put some out on YouTube a few years ago, and those jokers, man,
Yeah,
they live right down the road from us, I live close to the Kentucky line.
Yeah,
and man, they can pick like nobody's business. And I found that out years later, and I'm like, why didn't you never tell me that?
yeah,
And he told me the whole story about it and all this stuff, and it was really cool. I said, I would have loved to shoot a documentary about that, but I didn't know that till I was 30. Maybe or whatever, and
wow.
I don't know. To me, a lot of times it runs in your blood like that too, and even if you don't know it down the line, sometimes it doesn't. But I was curious how you got started
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Good old hymns in church, man.
Oh yeah.
Then he bit the apple and brought the lead out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 3. Let's see. Me and my sister have some squabbles sometimes. Was it easy when you were playing with your brother? Was it easy to, like on the road, like being around each other so much? You guys have a pretty good relationship. Guys ain't no brother. Oh, I guess brothers do fight, but
Well, yeah.
me and my sister, man, whenever we were younger, we were always competition. I'm telling mom and dad, you better not tell mom and dad.
Right.
And so, like, I don't know if you guys, if you had like any on the road, it's just like, Ricky, leave me alone, right?
Man,
or did y'all get along pretty good?
Man, the thing about
We won't tell them.
Ricky and I was that there's 7 years and 7 years and 2 months difference.
Oh,
A little over
really?
7 years
okay.
difference. So
Know that.
so we never played music together growing up at all. You
Wow.
know, he had his bands, had his rock bands and stuff in high school and whatever, and then moved out. A year after he graduated. He graduated 71. By 72, he was out in Tucson, and I had a bluegrass band. Played all over the place out there, and called the Ozone Mountain Boys.
Oh,
They were good. Had a good band, but the thing is, it was almost like we were each separate, like only children, because he grew up in a certain time. I came along when he was already 7, so by the time he was a teenager, I'm still just a punk little kid, And so we weren't really close growing. I mean, I messed up a lot of his stuff, and he'd get mad at me about that because he was real particular about making his monster models and car models and all that stuff. And I played with them and break them, of course. But we weren't really, I guess you could say, close.
Like button heads.
So it was kind of.
It was really
and he
fun.
was he was out of the house, by the time he graduated. So, what was kind of cool though is every Christmas he would sit down with his acoustic and a boom box, and he would record just him and his acoustic singing whatever.
That's cool.
Lots of John Prime and Jimmy Buffett and Waylon Jennings, whatever he would record some stuff for us and send us a kind of a Christmas tape. So I would listen to those tapes and I'd sing harmony with him.
Oh, that's cool.
He didn't know I was doing that. But
Right.
I was doing that every year. Another one come on, I was listening and singing harmony with him. So in a way, I was singing with him, but he didn't know that.
Y'all were having band practice before
Yeah.
you had a band. So that was before.
Oh yeah, I was still.
That's
I was still in school.
That's
Junior high school, whatever. And he wasn't even when I moved here in October of '81 and got the job with Ronnie McDowell. 82, he said, okay, the little brother is over there in Nashville, already on the road and whatever. So he moved to Nashville and was going to try to do his own thing, here. Well, out there he was the big fish in the smaller pond, and in Nashville you get in line and there's about 150 in front of you.
Everybody can play.
Everybody can play. Everybody can sing.
Yeah.
And so he beat and banged around for a few years and just really wasn't getting anything going. We put the Headhunters together in March of '86, and about that time is when he said, "All right, I'm gonna not not beat my head against the wall anymore." And he took a job up in Millersville at it was a filter factory. They made air filters, but Paul Bates that owned it was a kind of an entrepreneur guy, and he was a huge collector of beer and soda memorabilia.
Okay.
And he had started a little company on the side for that, and Rick got hired kind of to oversee that kind of stuff, and ended up designing a museum and presenting, displaying all his, not all, he had a huge collection of stuff. And so he was going to get out of it. Well, we had the Headhunters going. I kept saying, you need to come, at least come up and check out what we're doing. I think you'd dig it, I'm not even thinking that he was going to join or anything.
Sure,
Just,
yeah.
he'd come up and say, he wasn't going to do it. So he finally did. And so he came up, I'm going to check out, whatever we were doing, beat and bang around. So now come on, we need to sing one with us. So he did Honky Tonk Blues. And the way we do it, the way Headhunters did it, and the way he jumped in there, and then I'm singing harmony, we all kind of went, "Oh, okay, I see."
Hey, this ain't
So
bad.
this is all right, man. There's something to this right here.
That's cool.
And so that's really, we brought him in. You know, that was some months later when we brought him in. But obviously he was on the first two records. So, you know, that was the first really chance we got to actually play live music together in a band of all things.
I didn't know y'all were that far apart in age, but that's cool, man. That's so cool. The
Yeah.
reason why I asked that is because I was watching like some of the old. I was doing a little homework, you know.
Yeah.
I was watching some of the old shows, and I was watching Farm Aid.
Oh, yeah.
And just all that, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, it looks like they're having the time of their life.
We were. It was
Yeah.
crazy because it took off like it did. We didn't expect it to take off that way. I mean, even the label, Harold was like, you know, we was hoping we'd sell 30 or 40,000 copies, and you know, because we didn't have much money in the record, you know, we did it for $4,500.
that's a return right there.
So it didn't take long to, you know, and then it started selling like it did. So, you know, and nobody really expected that it would do what it did, but it did.
What was the biggest show you've ever played? Was it Farm Aid or?
Probably, yeah, because we did Farm Aid three different times. And well, and we did. There was one show we did at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Cardinal Stadium.
Oh, cool.
That was some kind of. It was 6 acts. It was.
Like a festival type thing.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of a festival type thing. George Strait,
Oh wow.
Hank Jr., Brooks and Dunn, us, the Judds, and who else? I can't remember. But it was, the stadium was full as well. So there's probably, I don't know, there's 30,000 or something. I don't know. We played.
Probably more
But
than
Farm Aid was, you know, those were big as well. Now we played the Jamboree in the Hills, which is 60,000 or so. I mean, that's a lot of people too. I don't know how many's there these days, but at one time, Jamboree in the Hills was the biggest country when it was the first one as well.
Wow.
We've done, you know, some of those type shows. There's another one in Ohio we played quite often that, you know, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's so many people.
You just
see a sea of people, you know.
I've heard people say it's harder to entertain 15 people than a stadium full of 60,000 because you just look out and it's just
a mass of people. But
I don't know if that's true, but that's really neat. Yeah, some of the legendary shows that they've played. I just wanted to touch on that. That's guys, you go on YouTube. So first of all, subscribe to the Headhunters, watch their stuff, listen to their music, stream their stuff. Are you guys independent right now? Or are you on a small label?
we have our own.
Okay,
So we have our own, and
they're on their own label. You're supporting theoretically independent.
We partner with basically a promotion company.
Cool.
That's in fact the guy that runs it used to work at Polygram up in New York when we were doing our thing. So yeah, but we have our own label and just kind of do our own thing.
And it's got to be, I mean, even if you're not in the limelight anymore, it's got to be refreshing to be able to, hey, yes, we'll take that show. No, we won't.
Yeah.
You know, instead of somebody saying, no, you have to do this. This is your you know, and I don't know if you want to talk about that or whatever. I don't want to get personal with what you're doing, but do you guys have any new shows coming up or anything? Or
Oh yeah. As far as the touring goes, we still maintain a very busy schedule for us at our age. We'll do 70, 75 shows a year. That's that's just the shows. That's not the travel back and forth and wherever. But yeah, we're kind of in this second half of our season right here, and we've got a lot of the 3-day weekends coming up: the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, on up into basically the second week in November. And we started back in late February, I guess, early March. We had a busy. I mean, it's just we stay busy. We stay busy enough
year long, yeah.
Year long, and you know, it's like I say, we're not top of the pops anymore, but
It's not uncomfortable, but it's comfortable. You know,
we're right about doing what we should be doing at our age.
Absolutely.
I mean, Greg is 70.
Yeah.
You know, it's our lead guard Greg is 70.
Still sounds like he's 30 though.
Oh yeah, still plays
Greg
it butt
is
off.
player.
Fred, you know, Fred's got the shoulder issue, but he turned that stick around, and you would never know. You never know it. You know,
Still got the beautiful chop.
I still got the chops, and Richard's 68. Fred just turned 65. I'm the baby. I'll be 63 this December. So we're not, you know, we're becoming the elder statesmen. Let's put it that way. But
Still a great show though, guys.
oh man, we had this past weekend. All the shows were just over the top. Great crowds.
Yeah.
People come out and have a good time with us, and you can't beat that, man.
Can't beat that, man. Oh man. Okay, so let's talk about, if you want to, the Grammy situation. Guys, I never thought this would happen ever in my lifetime. I'm interviewing a Grammy award-winning artist, in case you didn't know. Grammy award-winning band, the full band. How did that... Did so, like, I guess it rolled off of the success of the album, Picking on Nashville, correct? And what was the Grammy for exactly? It was best
performance by a band, duo or band.
Okay.
So it was basically just the best performance by a band. Is
Gotcha.
what it was amounted to.
Okay.
We were up for best new artist that year as well.
Oh, cool.
And that's the general category. That's kind of a biggie.
Yeah.
Mariah Carey won it.
Oh, all right.
That's okay. We were in the running for that. There was four or
That's
five
a tall
nominees.
order right there, but I mean...
Yeah. We did get the best country performance by band.
Hey, I would have picked that. Sorry, Mariah.
There you go.
Mariah, if you're watching it, no.
There were I think there were two others nominations that but we hey, well, at least we got one. That's, you know, Grammy's pretty cool, man.
That's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
something that's like, you know, out of the some odd percentage of people who make it into the industry, and then some odd percentage of people who win a Grammy, you know, or
Yeah,
it's like an
it's-
Oscar, or it's like a, you know,
Yeah,
it's really
gets,
cool.
Gets down there.
We'll get some shots of that, by the way, too.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Is it like is a Grammy by the people? Is it a people
It's
thing?
literally your peers. It's
Oh, so
music.
people,
It's
okay.
musicians. You have to qualify. You have to have been in the business certain long, have either a deal a certain amount of time, sell a certain amount of records, produce a certain. You know, you have to be. It is your industry peers.
Oh, that's cool. So okay, so did they just call you guys up? Hey,
Well, there's a process. There's a voting process, and if you're a member, you can vote. You have to be a member to vote, and they send out. I think someone has to. In fact, you can do it yourself. You can nominate. You can put your name in the hat.
kind of like an election.
Yeah,
presidential election.
and then it goes through two or three different voting processes and gets down to the final 4 or 5, however many it is. It's in the category.
That's
you know,
so cool, man.
and you know that Picking on Nashville, just the success of it, the amount of records it sold and all that was the catalyst for anything. All the CMA awards and the Grammy and the
Numbers.
the very first one was the ACM, the funny looking hat one there. That's the Academy of Country Music, and that was a Dick Clark production. And then the one beside it is the AMA, American Music Awards. That's a Dick Clark production as well, the AMAs.
Wow.
And so, but then the CMAs. I'll tell you a funny little story about the CMA Awards. That first year, it was for the 90. We were up for 3. We were up for Video of the Year, Album of the Year, and Group of the Year. They done skipped over the Best New Artist thing because I
Which
guess we
video?
already done
Dumas?
that. Yeah, I think it was Dumas. And we didn't win Video of the Year, but they did do group. We did win Group of the Year, and then the Album of the Year, that was a biggie. And that's kind of like that's one of the bigger ones, I guess. And so we won 2 out of 3. What we didn't know until the next day, they called us up and said, well, whoever produces the Album of the Year also gets a CMA Producer of the Year award. And we went, oh, well, we didn't know that. So we sent Fred to pick up the Producer of the Year. Think about how many big producers are in this town.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Can you think? What were they thinking? They're going, these hayseeds. What the heck is that, man? So we won 3 that night. Actually, it was pretty funny. to send Fred up there to receive the CMA Producer of the Year award.
Oh my god! I didn't. So that's crazy. So
Yeah.
you said that if you win the album of the year, it's like
Whoever produces
whoever
it.
produces it wins too.
And we produce our own records. So.
So money behind that somewhere is going. I got the best mic, and I got the best guitars, and I got the American-made Fenders, and there's no way these guys are.
We were doing this. We got invited to do a Roy Rogers duet. Roy Rogers was making an album of all duets with different artists,
Gotcha.
and we got invited to do it because it was going crazy at the time. Yeah, that was pretty cool too. And I won't mention names, but I was approached by a producer who, by the time we ended up kind of finishing the conversation, he had gotten up almost in my face, going, "You cannot be going out there telling everybody that y'all made this record for $4,500. Said you're killing my business." They're coming calling me, going, "Well, the Headhunters did it for $45." I said, "I'm making $150,000, per album, or whatever, I'm like, "Sorry, man, I just telling the truth,
How much you gonna pay us to lie?
Yeah.
How much you gonna pay?
Anyway, I mean, I get it. We was messing up their game, I guess, but
Yeah, man, but and I'm not trying to harp on people in the industry. There's some wonderful people in the industry.
oh, absolutely, yes.
But I mean, here's the thing. In my general experience, people are going to try to make things more available or more easy for themselves. Streaming. They uploaded stuff on Napster, or you could just file share for free.
Yeah.
Throughout the course of time,
Yeah.
most inventions are, there's a problem, let's solve it this way.
Yeah.
So nowadays you got home studios popping up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have an interface
Yeah.
where I just record just sound stuff or just a couple songs here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And it don't sound like oceanfront. It don't sound like studio, but I mean,
Yeah.
Nowadays the general consumer doesn't really notice a lot as much as maybe they used to, or maybe the industry people do.
Yeah.
In other words, you could produce an album for $4,500 that
Yeah.
got you a Grammy,
Yeah.
and nobody really cared that it wasn't used with, or somebody charged you $100,000, or
Yeah.
you used a $100,000 microphone, or
Yeah.
the industry and people have a way of changing things to where, hey, we're going to be heard. We want to put this out. We want to get this out, and that's why YouTube. In my opinion, that's why YouTube. Maybe not that reason, but YouTube happened that way. You could put your own stuff out, amateur stuff, and in some way, it kind of makes mediocrity
A little more acceptable, or
little
something.
more
Yeah,
acceptable.
whatever. But
most of us are mediocre. I mean,
I mean,
and the chips will fall where they may. You know what I'm saying? If you have a great album,
yeah,
whether you spent $4,500 on it or $100,000,
or yeah, that's right.
and some people, they're going to be upset about it because you're taking money out of their pocket. But I mean, that's just the way the world has always worked.
Hey, I thought it was kind of funny,
I thought it was amazing. I think it's amazing. I love that story.
So,
Since you kind of talked about him earlier, Hank Williams Jr. I went through a metal phase, a rock
yeah,
metal phase when I was like 2005, 2006. I was in a few bands, and I was just like, whenever I was younger, I was my dad and everybody, hey, listen to country music. Grew up in church.
yeah,
Dad was a deacon.
Yeah.
Hey, you're going to listen to country music. You're going to listen to country music. You can listen to that. You can't really listen to rock. I'm not going to let you listen to rock. So I wanted to listen to rock.
Yeah,
I wanted to have the speakers and the Led Zeppelin album, just
Yeah.
like they all did.
Yeah.
And so I remember I wasn't really into the country that much. And then maybe 2007, I was like 19, 20, and I hit this country phase where I guess I just was like, I do like this.
yeah,
Dad told me. Dad tried to make me like it, but I didn't until until I was old enough not to. But I do like this. And one album I really got into was Greatest Hits of Hank Williams Jr.
yeah.
Now, you guys, from what little homework I did, you guys went on tour with him for a while back in the day, right?
1990.
1990.
album came out '89, basically July, August, something like that. And when it hit, at the end of the year, beginning of the next year, Hank contacted us and he said, "I want to put you boys on the show."
Wow.
And so we did. We went from. I mean, we were already working a lot. The first 3 or 4 weeks we did the van and in a trailer, and I drove every mile of it. And we went from Florida to New York. I mean, we were all over the place. And we even at that point, the rest of the guys were already in their 30s.
Yeah.
And I was all crammed in there on the van.
It's a young man's game right there.
It was a really young man's game. We said, well, whether we go broke or not, we need to at least a bus, And we got one of Elvis's last buses. One of his old. It was a '78 MCI that he'd bought just before he died, basically. In '77, he died in August '77.
Wow!
And that model was already out, but he bought 6 of them, is what we were told, and this one we had was supposed to go to it was going to be the Stamps Quartet.
Oh, okay.
It was going to be their bus, and
so y'all had Elvis.
We
First
had
bus you had.
We had MCI 8. TCB on the side.
Well, that's where the success came from.
Yeah, it was
the inner Elvis.
Absolutely, man.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, we had transitioned into the bus. So we had our bus. We was hauling everything underneath, basically, in the bays, and so we could at least we could heap up with, because Hank brought us on tour, and it's boom, 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 boom. I mean, it's coast to coast, and
he was big,
top to bottom, in Canada, from coast to coast in Canada too.
right.
So we did every show that year, and I forget how many it was, 60 or 70 shows he was doing back then. Plus, we were doing our own shows as well in between. So yeah, I think we did 235 shows or something that first year, and we did a good show.
So his shows plus. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
235.
That's the dates, show dates, not travel days. We've gone almost all the time.
Yeah.
Obviously. And we did a good chunk of shows with him in '91 as well. And we did a bunch of our own too. But Hank was, of course, he's so gregarious on stage, and it's how he's Hank. When he's on stage, he's Hank Jr. And he can command an audience, and he can put on a great show.
He's a character, isn't
he? He's a character, but of course, then about the 20th show into the year, he pulled a Hank. And
that's no secret.
It's no secret. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
And come out and did about 30 minutes and walked off stage. And I was not too happy about that night. So
you know what? This is crazy because I think I've seen something about this on YouTube before. I think I saw a video of this, or like the sound from it or something. That was you guys. That was
the one you heard. Was we had just stopped touring with him at that point. That was a show in Kansas City.
Okay, yeah. I heard something like that one day.
Yeah.
I think he said something about Garth Brooks.
Yes. Yeah, that's a infamous tape, obviously. Yeah, we had stopped touring with him at that point.
Yeah.
We played Kansas City with him the previous year before, and oh my God, there was a bunch of fights that night. They were running back and forth to the hospital. Ambulance running back and forth, blood in the halls and everything else. It was crazy.
So,
but he was.
I didn't want to go that way. I didn't want to ask that question, but yeah. So, is there any story, like, I mean, he wouldn't mind you telling? Is there any like really cool story, or like something you saw him do, or for somebody to like get wild or whatever?
Well, he always had us come out at the end of the night when he was doing All My Rowdy Friends.
Oh, okay.
And Greg would pick up the guitar, and I'd go up there on the drums, and we just it was like
Rowdy Friends.
and just up there. Rick would go over where Cowboys playing steel, and Richard would grab a guitar, whatever, So we was all out there together with his band, and just having a free for all. He picked Fred up over his head, and I mean, it was just one night. When he picked him up, he knocked his hat off. Of course, he'd had a partial piece, so his hat laid down, his hair sticking out. He told him the next day, he said, "Fred, it might be cool for you to be bald, but you don't be knocking my hat off again." But here's the cool thing about Hank was,
so cool.
Off stage, there'd be certain certain place we played, he'd have a favorite restaurant or he'd have a favorite club or whatever. And okay, boys, y'all hop on the bus tonight, and I'm gonna take you such and such place, and he'd feed us or something.
Oh,
and we'd sit around the table, and he would just tell the greatest stories. You know, because he was around all the Grandpa Jones and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, all the old country stuff.
From the time he was a
From
baby.
the time he was a baby. So that was some of my most coolest memories of Hank.
Yeah.
I mean, you put on, like I said, when he's on, there's nothing better. It's on a great show.
Yeah.
You know, when he's had too much drink or whatever. But he, you know, he don't do that anymore. But we got to experience.
We all had it, you know.
We got to experience one of them.
Yeah.
It was outside. It was an amphitheater outside of Chicago, and the next night we were playing outside of, I think, Dearborn, Michigan, big amphitheater out there, and there were bomb threats. So
good.
they wouldn't let us in until they cleared it because people just, they were hanging.
Yeah, right. They paid for hanging.
The thing about Hank is just like George Jones, and then people, they would forgive him. They love him, you know. They love him. And they obviously just forgive him, forget, move on.
It kind of reminds you of George Jones a little, almost some of the stories. I heard somebody say, I can't remember who it was, but they said George didn't mean no harm to nobody. He just wanted to have a blast. He was just wanting to have time.
Yeah.
And when you think about it like that, you know, it's like, you know, he loves people. He loves God. Cool story about George Jones. I don't know why I just remember this, but in 2006, I was 19. I was working at Lowe's in Gallatin, and there was a guy who I was friends with, and he was like, "Hey, check this out." And he showed me a picture of him and George Jones. And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And he said, "I did something really dumb." And he said, "George Jones is really cool." And he's like, "I don't know how I'm not in jail right now." I was like, "What do you mean?" And yeah, interesting, right? So he wrote him a letter, and somehow he knew where he lived. He found out where he lived, and so he put him in his mailbox. "Hey, I'd like to meet you."
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And so George, he said, George got a hold of him and said, "Hey, I'm glad my music's still reaching fans that are 18 years old again."
Yeah.
You know, and he invited him in. He said that he talked like he sung, "Get on over here."
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said he invited him in, and now they hung out or whatever. And he said, "Don't touch my mailbox again." And that's a really cool story. I didn't tell him that.
Yeah,
That's so cool, man. Yeah, Hank Jr. icon for sure. And,
oh, no doubt.
And that's so awesome that you guys was.
We got to do one with him this past year at Beaver Creek, Kentucky. It sold out in a real quick amount of time, and
Man, that guy's still trucking, ain't he?
Had a ball, had a great time. I'd love to do more. Hank, call us.
Hank, if you're watching this,
call us. No, we always enjoy working with Hank.
If you're watching this, Hank, subscribe. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a dream. Yeah, give them a call, Hank. Do some more shows. Maybe they'll invite one of their friends, favorite interviewers, to come video.
Yeah.
No, I'm just teasing. So, let's see here, man. I think my wife is getting ready for some dinner. So let's try to get us a couple more questions.
All right, we can do it.
And then we'll get out of your hair. Is there any famous artist or person you met throughout your career that's become like an unexpected friend, like you didn't expect it, but then you kind of, the circumstances have you've kept in touch and maybe helped them out, or they've helped you out along the way? Or
Man, we've met so many.
Yeah.
We've met so many along the way. We've kind of always just sort of, like I said, done our own thing. So we have friends, obviously, in the business, in the industry. We're good buddies with Exile, Kentucky boys. You know, Exile,
okay.
Great, been around forever as well. Great
Shout
band
out.
for Exile. Of course, now we're reaching, like I said, that elder statesman area of our lives. But
did you ever get to meet? Maybe I can turn this into two questions.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no problem.
Did you ever get to meet Johnny Cash?
Yes.
Did you? Johnny is probably my number one. No offense.
Yeah. No.
Johnny, and one of the reasons why is because my grandfather used to sell him and his father firewood.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we've had a logging business for 3 generations.
Yeah.
And they used to sell him firewood, and so I just became interested. And then whenever he passed away, right afterwards, they were remodeling his house, and I worked for Lowe's. Quick story. sorry, they wanted to return some of the Quikrete because they bought too much.
Yeah.
And so they're like, hey, get in the car. We need some people to help
Yeah.
with the Quikrete. And I'm like, where are we going? Johnny Cash's house. I'm like,
Yeah.
through my vest, I'm going. So I went in and went into his house, and they were doing stuff, and I was like, hey guys, I gotta use the bathroom. I'll be right back. And so like I just kind of went to the restroom like downstairs, and I just looked, and I mean I didn't touch nothing or do nothing.
Yeah.
But I just looked, and I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And the octagon rooms it was something that I've never forgot about. And Johnny, he was gone then, but it was just one of my favorite. He's just one of my favorite personas.
Well, I'll tell you a quick Johnny story. He was kind of a mentor.
Awesome.
When Pickin' took off, it was like the old cats recognized that we're doing what they did when they did it themselves, when they went on themselves, instead of trying to really play the game anymore, they're just doing what they wanted to do. He wrote us a letter, and it's still, we got it at the practice house out in Kentucky, congratulating us on our success. And he said, but I want to warn you boys, he said, they'll be shooting arrows at you here pretty soon, because you're not playing the game, you're doing it your own way. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he was saying. He was saying, great guys, I dig it, congratulations, but just be ready because you're not playing the game, they're going to be coming after you.
You're going to ruffle some feathers.
Yeah, and
that is so cool.
George Jones was always real cool to us as well.
I got chill bumps right now. I feel like because Johnny lived not far from here.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's so crazy because I don't know. Maybe it's just a thing, but like I love. And I never even connected that till you said it. Johnny had the outlaw thing before.
Yeah.
It was cool to do that. It wasn't cool to do that. I remember somebody talking about it. He was on stage and playing the show, and he turned his back on the crowd. And like people didn't understand it back then. And like that's so crazy that we start talking about Johnny, and then you guys and you did your thing, and then the Upchurch. That's cool, man.
Waylon was cool to us.
Waylon
Willie was cool to us. George was cool to us. Johnny was cool to us. They recognized it. They recognized what was going on.
Real. What the young kids say, real recognize real. I love talking about that kind of stuff because just that the spirit of, and there's a lot of that going on right now. I don't want to get political or nothing, but in the country, a song like something Oliver Anthony would put out would not do what it did if there wasn't something, people. Feeling a certain type of way.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. Johnny is one of my all-time favorites, man. I remember when he passed away, I bought every Johnny CD, like all the greatest hits, and, one piece at a time, didn't cost me. I just bought all of his songs. I don't know why, I felt the connection there, man.
No doubt.
And 3 years later, I got to go to his house, which is crazy. Okay, so we're wrapping it up. We're wrapping the interview up. And is there any advice you have for any up and coming band trying to make their way, whether it's independent or whether it's industry stuff? Obviously, those are two different routes. But do you have any kind of advice as far as, I guess, getting your stuff out there or getting recognized? Or
pursue it. You got to do it. You got to pursue it, and you got to do it. It's not going to just fall in your lap, obviously. So if you're, you got to work at it. You got to, if you're wanting to create and be a writer as well. It's like honing your skills. You can't just sit on your hind end and not do it. You got to get out there and do it. Now, there's avenues for it, obviously these days. YouTube and the streaming possibilities, all that. So there's more opportunities than there used to be.
Yeah.
When we came along, but do it from here. You gotta take some of this too. It obviously there's a mental aspect of learning to play and memorizing and whatever songs, but man, always do it from here. And there's gonna be a lot of rejection. There's
Sure.
you know that's the thing. That's the hardest part about music is there are so many people out there that are so talented
Yeah.
that never gets the shot, but they're good enough. But whatever it is, timing, luck, wrong place, wrong time, whatever it is. But you just have to keep pursuing it. Get in a band, start your own band, work your way into a club situation, set in, play. You got all those avenues you have to pursue. You just got to keep doing
Right.
it.
And what's crazy is nowadays, especially, you just never know. It could be that one. I've had a video where I just put a video out, 200,000 views, and and you just never know. And then something you think is going to do great doesn't do great, or somebody could just. You could just be, a band just playing, and then somebody gives you a $4,500 allowance to record a demo that goes.
Does that.
Did you guys think when you were recording the demo, oh man, this is fun. This is a cool demo. A Grammys right down the road.
No, it was never about the awards or any about that. We didn't.
Right.
We were shocked that Harold Shedd, Mercury Records, signed us to what would be considered a country deal. I guess we thought maybe it'd be a independent or an alternative type label that might dig
Southern
what we're doing,
rock
but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah, apparently people wanted it. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, and there were, like I said, part of what we just said, you have to be able to handle rejection because there were, obviously, it didn't please everybody, but it pleased. All it took was one.
Right, exactly.
All it took was one person. So
all it takes is one. All right, I got two more little things to say here.
Okay.
Just one question. Let's reiterate, guys. The Headhunters. I did some homework. I wrote this down, so if this isn't right, just correct me.
Okay.
The Headhunters have released 10 studio albums, or this may have been years ago. So you said 17?
Yeah, I think because there's a couple of live albums as well that we did.
Okay.
And there was a compilation thing that a label we'd worked with. I think we're at 17. Yeah.
Gotcha. So this may not be accurate, but the Headhunters have released 17 albums, 10 studio albums, 3 compilation CDs, at least 23 singles. Can you pick a favorite album or song? Is there one that you went back and you're like, I wish we would have done that? Or is there something where you're like, man, that's just the one, that's us?
Well, no denying the first album, Picking on Nashville, was special, obviously to us, and it did what it did. But every album has a particular emotion about it, and a period of time. It's what we did at that particular. It's a section of that's who we are and what we're doing
at that time
at this
in your
time
life,
in our life. And so all of them are our children. They're special,
Special, yeah.
But Pickin', no denying that Pickin's obviously what kicked it all off in the first place. Soul was a really cool kind of an emphasis, an R&B type of thing we did, and there's some great tunes on Soul as well. But I don't know, I go back to Pickin' basically.
But Pickin' was the one that special place.
Yeah, no
that's
doubt.
awesome, man. That's a lot of albums. It would be hard to remember.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
we do a cross section, of the old and some of the tune or two in the middle that we did, and then the latest album. That's a Fact Jack. You can check that out as well.
Latest album.
That's a Fact Jack.
That's a Fact Jack.
We
that's the name of it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
The name of the album, that's a Fact Jack, and
I dig that.
we got a funny country sounding Christmas song on there. We played it on the Opry. We actually got invited to finally play the Opry last December before last, and then this past December as well. So they've finally accepted us on the Opry.
Oh yeah,
cool.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw
which is
you.
cool.
That was recent.
Yeah, it only took us 31 years, but we finally made it. But anyway, we play that one live too. So we got at least one off the new record, and we got to play some of the stuff off of Picking and
So they finally got over being picked on after 31 years.
Yeah,
No,
you know.
no, just kidding. No, the Opry, yeah, it's one of those staples that it may not be as influential as it used to be, but when you have I'm glad that they're putting people on it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of newcomers. No offense to any newcomers, it's
Yeah.
great, but I'm glad they're putting people on it who are like who deserved it for so long, and they've had
Well.
the numbers, they've had all this stuff, and like sometimes it's funny because you'll see them put no offense, you'll see them put somebody on there, and you're like, who? And I mean, you know, I'm kind of a nobody too, but I mean, it's like, if you're not paying respects to the people who are the pioneers, you know, in the '90s or whatever, if you're not inviting people who won Grammy or they've done so many things, platinum records, and we're not inviting them, but we're inviting people who have 100 TikTok videos. You know, it's like, to me, it's like, what? What's happening? So yeah, I did see that not long ago, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah,
that was
cool.
awesome, and I also thought that they've never played there before.
Yeah.
But that's cool. That's really neat that's happening. One last question: does the Headhunters have any new music coming out? You kind of answered that for us.
Yeah.
And what should we keep a heads up for? Shows, music, anything you want to plug right now?
Man, go to
You have a cooking book?
yeah, maybe one of these days. You know, our website is easy to find, KentuckyHeadhunters.com, I believe it is. And then Facebook presence. Guy that's selling our merch is actually the lead singer and guitar player for Otis, which
cool.
had their own band as well, and a record deal that Greg helped them with. And he ended up with a throat issue. The band kind of separated. He's got a new band going. In the meantime, he's been selling our merch, and
Sweet.
he's our social media guy. And we weren't social media guys.
Yeah.
Somebody would post something every once in a while. So you can check out Boone. Boone pretty much tries to post something from every show. And then you can check out the tour dates as well. At either place there should be able to.
So go to the website, guys. Listen to the music, stream the music, buy the music.
Come see us. Come see us live. Yep.
Come see him. Doug said he would buy everybody a brand new. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, guys, I guess that's it. Thank you so much, Mr. Phelps.
Thank you, Drew.
It's been awesome.
Good to see you again. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.